तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now, next question. Athaha evam sauryayani gargaha prapacha Bhagwan etasmin purushe kani swapanti kani asmin jagrati kataraha esha devaha swapnam pashyati kasya etat sukham bhavati kasminno sarve sampratishtaha bhavati iti. Okay, now I do understand that the whole universe comes from Ishvara, which is knowledge and power, which is also the material cause, which governs the whole universe, which is right now here, making the sun, moon, everything circulate, produces sun, moon and everything else through 5 elements, makes them all alive through prana, makes the interactions possible. But while we are here on this earth, we experience life through 3 avasthas. What are the 3 avasthas? Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti avastha. We are not exactly, we don't think about it, but we are not continuously experiencing the external world in exactly the same manner. There are 3 states of experiences that we are given. What are the 3 states of experiences? The waking state, the dream, and the deep sleep. Deep sleep. So, what accounts for what within this, you think that you've been living in the universe. In 24 hours, you have you undergo these 3 states of experience. Jagrat, waking, Swapna, dream, and Sushupti, which is deep sleep. What accounts for these 3 different experiences altogether? In the waking, what do you do? Tell me. How are the 3 states of experience different from each other? In waking, what happens? Your senses are working, your mind is working, you see everything which is there in the waking world, and you are able to interact with the waking world. This is your experience. In the dream world, what happens? Does your experience remain the same? No. So what happens in the dream state?
Subconscious mind works.
That means for the time being, please understand, you lose your connection with the waking world.
But in dream world also we interact with the same smells and
So that means, not same smells.
you can be some feelings.
Exactly. So that means, in the dream world, what you do is, the waking world, so suppose, you are a king in the waking world, but in the dream world, you can be a beggar. You can create a dream, which is what you feel as though, suppose, I'm begging in streets of Rome, and you are sitting a king of Bhutan. So what does that mean? That you're not totally alive to the realities of the waking world as they are. You're living in some other world which is created by as Madhav is saying, Your subconscious. So that means you are living, but you are not alive to what you see in the waking world. So I can be sitting in Bombay and I can dream about me having a sip of coffee in France, in Paris. My whole experience is totally different. But while the dream world is going on, what happens? That do I know while the dream is going on? Do I know that it's a dream and it's not the waking?
No.
No. I really feel that this is what I'm going through. I am sitting in Paris. Not only I created the time, space, and all the buildings and cafes and the waiter and the coffee and everything gets created.
It's out of the waking world.
So that means, super. The data that you get is out of the waking world. Correct. Correct. You can't dream of something that you don't know of. Because if the dream, the material that you have for the dream is your subconscious mind, where have you collected the data? In the waking world. But you're not, that data that you have collected in the waking world, so true, the data comes from the waking world, but the data, the way it creates the dream world is different from the arrangement is different from in the waking world. So in the waking, according to the waking world, when somebody sees you, where are you lying on your bed? But in your dream world, where are you? In Paris, having a coffee.
Also in the waking world, you have control over what you want, but in the sleeping world, you have no. In the dream world,
Right.
you have
All this will come. Now the question is, we have not yet answered. We are just seeing how, while you are living, what your experience, you think that you are just living as one person. In fact, you don't even think about it, that you're experiencing the world differently within this 24 hours. But all this will come. If I don't answer, you remember. Then, in the deep sleep, what happens? In the deep sleep, neither I'm aware of the waking world, nor I'm aware of the dream world. The whole, they both remain, please understand. The waking world remains, but my connection with the waking world is gone for that time being. This is why the doctors know it so well. You have grueling pain. What will they give you? Painkiller. What will painkiller do? Put you to sleep. When you go to sleep, what happens to your awareness? It's not that the pain, the pain is there, but what happens? Your awareness of that pain goes away totally. So that means this is what we call deep sleep state. Now the question is, okay, now the prana enters the body and it produces these three different states which are quite different from each other. How is that produced? That's a question. You understand the question? So that means while you're alive, how is it that in one cycle of 24 hours you interact with you have totally different experiences. In one experience there is a waking world and waking objects. In the dream world you take the data of the waking world but you rearrange them totally. And find yourself in a different position in that dream world and do totally different things. And in the other state, your mind is completely not available for anything which is going on in the waking world, and also the dream world has resolved. So how does that happen? So now the answer. The answer is a very important answer. When you come to this world, you feel what? When I come here with a form, yeah? I can see you, I can see you, I can see you. So we all come with a form. That physical, tangible form that we have is what we call Sthula Sharira. What is Sthula Sharira? It is called the gross body, which is... Huh?
Can you spell? Spell.
Oh, spell. G-R-O-S-S. Sthula Sharira? Okay, somebody writes. Sthula Sharira. Sthula. Sthula means something which is tangible. You write in English also, Saloni. Sthula? Oh, you written?
Sharira.
Okay. Sharira. Sharira is the body. Gross body. What it means is, that if I open my eyes, what is it? This is what is Sthula Sharira. If I open my eyes, I can see Preeti sitting there, the form of Preeti sitting there, form of Prasannika sitting there, Nandini sitting there. This form is available to what? My eyes. This is why it is called what? Sthula Sharira. My eyes can capture it. This form, my eyes are able to capture if my eyes are not defective and if there is light. Now, I think whole of Preeti is only this form that I see, not totally. There is something else about Preeti which I don't see, and that is what is going on in her mind. So that means there is something about Preeti which is available to my eyes, which is a physical form. But in addition to that physical form, there is one more thing that is there which I am not able to see. And that is what we call Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira means subtle body. Now, so that means in addition to the physical body, there is one more thing which is there, which is not available to my eyes, and that is called subtle body. Now, Sukshma Sharira. Slowly, I think you better stay there.
What
Okay.
comes under subtle body?
So, wonderful. What comes under subtle body? If you go to all these, the new age spirituality, they will talk about what comes under is your aura and your kundalini and I don't know what all. The Vedanta doesn't talk about any one of them. Vedanta is just too sick.
Sukshma.
Sukshma.
When I forgot Ksha, how to do Ksha, I forgot. But you don't write it. What happened?
Write it in English, it's fine. You don't need to.
Okay. Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira, what does it constitute of? That's a very good question. What it constitutes of is something, according to Vedanta, is something which is undeniable. So, what I can see with my eyes is your physical eye. But I don't know, by looking at your physical eye, how much your eye can see. So that means the subtle the Sukshma Sharira includes what? The capacity of what? Your 5 sense organs. What does it mean? I can see your physical ear, but I have no idea how much you can hear. Your hearing capacity, your ear is physical, but your hearing capacity is what?
Subtle.
Subtle. But it's there. Can you deny that it is not there? It is there, but I am not able to see it with my eyes. The capacity of your 5 sense organs, which is what? Eyes, ears, what? Tongue, taste and touch. That is part of your subtle body. The definition of subtle body is what? That you cannot see with your physical eye. It also includes the capacity of your organs of action. What does it mean? I can see your physical hand, but I am not sure to what extent you are able to move it. Whether you can do this, whether you can do this, whether you can do this, I don't know when I just look at your hand. So that means there is not only a physical organ called physical hand, there is something which gives it a subtle capacity, which is actually constantly changing. Today I can do this. Suppose I go and bang my hand. My physical hand remains the same, but the capacity to do this goes. It's constantly in flux. But by looking at the hand, you can't capture it. This is what constitutes the subtle body. 5, the capacity of 5 organs of action. What are the organs of action? Hands, legs, then speech, excretion and procreation. So that means that these are your organs of action and they have power. That power is not something which is visible by my eyes, so they constitute of your subtle body. The third thing is Pancha Prana. The 5, what? Your capacity to breathe in air, then breathe out air, then digestion, circulation and what? The last prana. That is also something that we don't see. We don't see, that means I know so many doctors and they tell me that it's just amazing because there are many times, they see patients dying. And they say that there is this body in front of us and we are trying so hard to what? Make it survive. And at one point, what? The body, you are all using is what? There is no breathing. But you just don't know what has happened in what? That 1 second, what is different. When the last prana leaves your body, you are not able to physically see what? The prana leaving. That's why it is part of what? Subtle body. You can see that the body is unable to function like before. That you can see. But what has happened between that functioning and non-functioning body? That you're not able to see. Nobody sees prana leaving. That's why it is called subtle body. And the last function of subtle body is what? Your mind. So I can look at you, I can infer whether you are enjoying or not by looking at your face. Either you have bright, shining eyes or you are dull and sleepy. All this I can see very well in the class. I don't say anything, but I can see everyone. So that means I can infer whether you are actively listening, you are interested, you are not, everything is very evident. I can infer it, but I still cannot be 100% sure what exactly is your thought. I can infer it, but not perceive it. So that means this is what we call, again, part of the subtle body. So the subtle body includes what? The capacity of 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action, 5 different types of prana, and 4 functions of the mind. This is what we call the subtle body. Now, there is a third body which Senthil is interested, and that is what we call the causal body. Causal body. What is a causal body? The causal body is, as I told you, the minute I collapse a choice and make a decision and do something, 2 types of results accrue. What is that result? One is what? Seen, and the other one is unseen. So the seen result is felt by me immediately, for which I need what? My physical body and the mind, which is subtle body. But the unseen result, where does it get accumulated? In the causal body.
This is part of also of subtle body.
No, this is the third body. So, Saloni, right. The causal body. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. Maybe somebody else. Anjali, you know how to write? Okay.
I couldn't find.
But I forgot this.
Okay, that's not part of the subtle body, it's a third body. Causal body.
Sanskrit.
Karana Sharira.
Can I ask you a question? You said we 24 hours we go through 3 things.
So now I will tell you why do we go through things by these bodies. What happens? So you have a question. What exactly is your question, Niresh?
When you are in a deep sleep
Yes.
in the night, you said all the connections are lost.
Yeah. I will explain through this. In order to explain what happens, I need to first tell you there are 3 bodies. Yeah. Now.
Let's do scientific way.
No full body.
Okay. Now, what happens in the waking world is what you have, please understand, all 3 bodies working with you. What does it mean? Your physical body you are aware of, all your capacity of your senses, your capacity of your organs of action, your prana, your mind, everything that you are aware of. So that means you have in waking state connection.
Surya, what are you doing?
Steps in the cows of the
You have connection with what? The physical body, the subtle body, and you also have connection with the causal body. How do you have connection with causal body? Huh?
Because it directs how you perceive the world. If you want to
You could have seen that together.
You see the results, the seen and the unseen.
How you connected to
The latent, please understand, see this is all very important. The latent causes which are part of what? Your prarabdha. What? They are fructifying in front of you. The causes which are supposed to produce situations begin to what? Produce situations day after day, moment after moment. Every second you are exposed to what? New situation. You are teaching in a classroom, new situations. So that means, in simple, we don't even see that, but in 1 hour, you can be exposed to so many different, ask people who deal with stock market. In 1 hour.
Can you just, this is not very clear, can you just go through one more time? Some points are not,
The causal body is still in understanding.
This is what I'm saying.
How you
The
connect
cause.
with it.
See, that means what is producing the next situation?
no, before that, how gross causal and subtle body is connected and what the function.
This is what I'm explaining now. In waking state, please understand, in the waking state, what you have is what? Your physical body is there with you or not? Your subtle body, which is, what is the definition of subtle body? The capacity of your senses, capacity of your sense organs, capacity of your prana, and capacity of your mind. Is it there with you or not? Yes. Now, each one of us, please understand, goes through life, but each one's life presents different situations in front of you. That means what comes to me is not always what comes to you. What accounts for what? We all have physical body, we all have subtle body. But why is it with this physical and subtle body we have different experiences?
So pretty much the causal body in this class you're giving us, some of us has questions, some of us doesn't, some understood, some of us under the class starts talking about what we understood. This is the causal body pretty much.
Excellent. So that means that the causes which present in front of you, the situations which come in front of you, they have causes. They are not just random situations that you have to go through. So that means while we all have experiences with physical and subtle body in the waking world, we all are living a different life.
You can call it different perception.
It's not different. Different situations arise in your life. So that means, what does it mean? That you are born in Brazil and I am born in India. The day one of your life presented to you was very different from what the day one of my life which was presented to me. Why I was given a different experience from Roberto? Why? So that means the causes which are what? Which have started unfolding and they are unfolding are what? Different for all of us. So that is what we call the causal body. The causes which are there, but they are what? Going to be unfolded day after day after day after day of your life. You go through your unique situations and I go through my unique situations.
So I feed my own unique situations from past.
Exactly. Very good. Very good. So that means the causes which are there are what? Producing what? Different situations for you. Did you get it, Viresh?
Yeah.
The causes that you have to experience in this life with this body and this subtle mind are different from what? The causes that I have to experience through situations with this physical body and this subtle.
It's very simple. Prarabdha karma, manifests a different body in a different way.
So that means this prarabdha karma is accumulated where? In a causal body. Wonderful. So that means the prarabdha karma, because even today, see, you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but it is stored somewhere, no?
Then it's stored, and whenever desire comes, it jumps out.
Absolutely. So that the storing place,
The thought comes, the desire comes.
so the prarabdha karma storing place is causal body.
That's the answer. Your answer.
It is stored in causal body. So that means that's what accounts for all of us are born with a body, all of us are born with physical and subtle body, but all of us go through what? Different experiences.
So that's why even if they're twins, they are born like at almost the same time, they still have very different prarabdha.
Excellent. That means they have different causal bodies. So therefore they cannot have totally identical life. They can't have.
Different experiences.
Because that prarabdha cannot be totally identical.
And even your day-to-day reaction to all the stimuli will also change the prarabdha.
Yes. So the prarabdha doesn't get changed. The agami changes. You collect new karma.
Situation.
Yeah. So that means there is a causal body that we all have, please understand, which gives you your unique experiences that you have to go through what? Your physical body and your subtle body. Do you get that? So there is something, but it is something that you, what are you, it's something that does its job, but do you have total access to what all is stored in your prarabdha? You don't have. For you, it's a surprise. Tomorrow is a surprise. So this is what in the waking you operate with all three bodies. What happens in the dream state? In the dream state, you still have senses, you still have mind. Anybody who sees you lying down and sleeping, they see that you still have everything intact. But your connection with your physical body is what? Totally gone. What it means is that you can be having a grueling pain, but if you go to sleep or if you're dreaming, you are what? Not at all aware of what? The conditions of your physical body. There is an experience that is given to you where you're no longer aware of what? Your physical body. But you still are what? Aware of your subtle body, because what happens? The data that you have collected from the waking state, it produces what? A dream world. Not exactly identical to a waking world, but it has its own creativity and it what? Creates another world altogether. So that means that either you can have nightmares or you can have really good dreams. All this is something which is given to you. So what you have in dream state are connection to what, which you don't have connection to the physical body, but you do have connection to what? The causal and the subtle body. Some causes which you have picked up in the waking, they get what? They get stored and they get manifested in dream world. So that means the dream experience is when you lose for the time being your connection with physical body and you have connection only with what? Subtle and causal body. What is the deep sleep state? in the deep sleep state, even you don't have connection with neither the physical body nor the subtle body. Your mind is also not operating. That's why while you're sleeping, you don't think actively that, oh, I'm sleeping so well. You have no connection, because in order to do that thought, your subtle body has to be what? Active. So that means for the time being, you get what disconnected with what your physical and your subtle body. Now, suppose there was no causal body. Look at this. When you wake up, you will have what? No connection. The causal body, even that keeps all the causes intact. So when you wake up, what happens? You recontinue your connection with this body and your mind. So that means that connection which is lost is what? Regained, and then there is a continuity. So these, otherwise what will happen is when you go to sleep, everything should come to an end. Hey, you wake up the next day and you pick up the thread. The same person who went to sleep also what wakes up and picks up the thread of what? The previous day. And otherwise you have to relearn everything. If there was no connection, you have to relearn everything. The causes are latent, which will again what? Manifest. This is what we call the causal body. So, this is why, now suppose you are given this whole range of experiences, and suppose you're not able to shut off at all from this range of experiences. You go mad. Ask people who have problem with sleeping, insomnia. Overload of information, the mind is not able to relax and not able to cut off. People have so much stress out of not sleeping. People get stressed out. So that means that shutting off to the world for at least 7-8 hours contributes so much to your sanity. Because otherwise you are hyperactive and you don't know how to stop. So that means the proper functioning of these three bodies and proper proportion of time is something which enables you to live in this world and complete your journey with a certain amount of what? Tranquility and certain amount of what? State of peace. So now, what does this mean? So at any given point in time, all these living beings have three different bodies. What are the three different with which they experience the world and live in this world? What are the three bodies? Physical body, subtle body, and causal body. Now the causal body gives you the causal body which includes what? Karma. Karma is carried through causal body. So that means your karma will give you this specific body, this specific capacity of your senses, this particular disposition of the mind, and series of situations that you have to go through in your life journey.
Is there some kind of astral body?
No, all this is all
Just
spirit,
science.
I don't know, all. This is, we don't have, in Vedas, we don't have all these astral bodies. We are sane people. We don't, imagination, we don't. Anything that is here is available. Anything that I said here, do you have any way that you can refute what I'm saying? I'm not interested in, please, we have had enough imagination. Forget for the time being imagination. Just stay with facts. The facts which are demonstratable. Therefore, what the three bodies through which we have to go through life. Now, what happens at the time of death? Very good. What happens is so very good. See, now prarabdha, let's start with not what happens at the time of birth, then we will see what happens at the time of death. At the time of the birth, you have what in your karma account, some karmas waiting to be experienced. In order for you to experience the result of this karma, can you experience a result without body? No. So your prarabdha karma, which is in the causal form, will give rise to what? A physical and subtle body. Senthil, just let me finish. Then I will take your question. It will give rise to physical and subtle body. And the causes that then, after having given rise to your body, these causes will begin to what? Present different situations to you day after day. So that means through this, and then what happens is, through your physical and subtle body, what happens? You respond to situations. And as you respond to situations, you accumulate what? New causes. Which, where are they stored? In the causal body. And now, at the end of your life, what happens is, this set of prarabdha that you are born with, for which you were given the physical and subtle body, is now over. What remains is what? The causal, which will then what? Give rise to another experience with another set of prarabdha karma, with another body.
Yeah, but this implies that you have an afterlife.
Yes.
Which is not proven.
So this is what I said, you can't prove it. The only thing is, as I told you, that any phenomena that occurs right now is connected to the causes. There is no phenomena that occurs at any given point in time is unconnected to the causes.
It's not random.
It's not random. Nothing is random in this universe. And that's what also then accounts for the differences in life of people. Difference in experience. We all come to this earth with physical and subtle bodies, but we all have very different experiences. What does it mean? How intricate the whole thing is. Suppose you're growing up in India. Your life is so different from if you're growing up in, let's say, Brazil. Now suppose you're growing up in India and you're growing up in Bombay. Your life is so different from somebody who's growing up in a small village. Suppose you're growing up in Bombay. Your life is so different if you belong to a wealthy family and you belong to a middle class family, or you're living in slums of Dhara. Suppose you are living in the best area of Bombay, but you go through your own life challenges. You can't get along with, suppose, your mother-in-law, and your neighbor gets along with her. You two have still very different lives. Suppose you get along with your somebody very well, and any time what your business can go fat, and then what, it can change. So that means each one of us goes through our life. There is a whole life journey that we all perform, that, and there are certain similarities and there are some differences. And there is infinite permutations and combinations. And that situation of what we are going through is changing what? Every second. This is the enormity. This whole thing is done through the mechanism of what? 3 bodies. What are the bodies? Physical, subtle, and causal bodies. Senthil, you had a question?
Yeah, I have a question, and it's also related to what Robert did.
Yeah.
When you said that you're born with karma which is accrued, which means the accrual has come from your previous birth or previous actions.
Sure.
So it implies that.
Sure.
How is this connection? How does it, for example, first of all, it's very difficult to conceptualize that there could be something previous which you would have to carry forward. I mean, how am I responsible for what happened previously? Why should I be responsible?
Well, there is not 2 people. There is only one jiva, one causal body, which takes on what? Different subtle and physical bodies. Now, if I ask you one question, Senthil, your life today, is it connected to 20 years ago or not?
Yes.
Yes. Who is connecting it?
But why should there be anybody connecting it? Shouldn't it be the way of life which follows that?
Exactly. So this is what? That way of life which has cause and effect relationship is Ishvara. If you keep thinking of Ishvara as somebody sitting out there who's connecting things, you will not get Vedanta right. Who is, somebody out there is not sitting and connecting your life from 20 years old to 40 years old, but it is getting connected. How? In that mechanism itself there is an intelligence. Don't look for some intelligence out there looking at you and connecting your life.
Which is a fair concept. In the sense you're
Wonderful.
saying the intelligence is around and then that causes, so there are causes and there's effect.
Absolutely.
So
And it just keeps connecting.
Yeah, so my present life is based on the action which I've taken 20 years back, and there's a continuity in that.
Absolutely. And
Now,
that,
that is what I find it difficult to comprehend. Maybe I'm wrong, but when you die, yeah, when I die, that's the end of it. I mean, there's a physical form the physical form.
yeah,
does not
because your
exist anymore.
prarabdha is gone.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the physical form does not exist. Only memories remain. That's it. And that memories is what carry forward is what.
No. So you try to follow what I'm saying. Now, because if you continue to operate from what you understand, you'll never get what I'm saying. Right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, that is what somewhere, who is, if I forget about next life, right? This life.
Yeah.
What you are today is not just the function of the decisions that you made today. Do you agree or not?
Yes.
Yes. It is also a function of the decisions that you made 20 years ago.
That's right.
Who is carrying it forward? Tell me. Are you sitting and saying, okay, now this connection is a... You are not even aware. It is getting connected. Where? How? There is a presence of intelligence which connects it. How can you make a statement that when this physical body goes, that intelligence will not connect it further? You have no basis. Because that intelligence is pervading, it will keep continuing.
But it could be intelligent in the previous life of an elephant.
Sorry?
Maybe.
Yeah. Can be intelligent of an elephant.
Yes, that's what reincarnation is all about.
Exactly. See, the thing is, that's what accounts for sentiment. See, you see this intelligence everywhere. I've shown you everywhere there is a work of intelligence. Now, suppose you, in your vision, we are all just born just randomly, and we are just going through life randomly. And we are just doing what we have to do, and one day will disappear. And if you have been a criminal, or you have been whatever, some good human being, somebody is just randomly born in a slum, somebody is randomly born in some very, this thing. And then you just experience this thing and then you just disappear. The whole work of intelligence that we are beginning to show you, that it percolates every being, then your vision becomes so abrupt and becomes so meaningless. Whereas my vision gives you the explanation for the apparent differences and the presence of causes.
And then again you would say, why should I be born in the slum and you should be born?
Absolutely.
Because of my causes that I had in my life.
Exactly. And the causes that you are born with is something that is not, nobody is doomed in life. Please understand. Because you always, yesterday what did I say? You are given the intelligence to what? At any time, change and correct. And the life is all about that. And this is what we do it through what? Agami karma. We collect, even if we have challenges, we collect what? We break the chain and we collect new karma. That is an opportunity given. We create new causes. And that is true within this lifetime. Suppose you ask many very successful people, you ask them that, hey, how did they come up? They said, one thing that we learned was to deal with failures in order to come up. So that means now that cause, that challenge occurs because it has its causes. Either you can sit and grip, or you can learn how to deal with it. When you learn how to deal with it effectively, you create what? New causes, better causes for future. So that means life is a series of what? Cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect relationships. And if you haven't finished the journey in this life, then what? Next life. So next life what happens? The causes which are what? In the causal body, which are what? In this case, what is in the causal body? Tell me. Sanchita karma are also in the causal body. The agami karma which you have accumulated in this life, where do they get stored? In the causal body. And then it keeps giving you experiences, what? One life after the other. And this is why, because we all have come with different causes, we don't experience life same. And therefore, different situations we have to go through. Each one of us has to go through unique situations. There is no repetition.
We all learn different lessons.
Absolutely. Even the twins, as Nandini, who said? Nandini said, yeah. Even the twins who are born at the same time, they have a different life. Why? Because their prarabdha karma is different. So this is the mechanism. You have three bodies. The three avasthas that you have, right? Which are the three avasthas? So that means in this model, Senthil, the death is like what? Which of the three states? What would be the death? The deep sleep. Deep sleep where you have what? No connection with what? The physical and subtle body, but something which remains, which connects you to the next day, which is your causal. Now you can extrapolate and you can say between one body and the second body, there is one causal which connects you to the next body.
So during that experience, everything goes into the sleep form?
Excellent. Everything goes, wonderful. So what is death? Now we saw what is life. What is death? The death is you have finished your prarabdha karma. So now the body and mind that you are given to experience your prarabdha karma you have is gone. No more connection. But what remains is what? The causal body. And that causal body, which includes what? Your sanchita karma. All the account, out of that what? One small set will then again fructify, which will give you what? Another physical and subtle body to go through your life. So exactly as Viresh is saying, the whole manifestation has become what? For the time being, unmanifest, until it becomes what? Manifest again.
That's why when we sleep in the morning, we don't forget our name.
Superb.
Musician gets up as a musician.
Excellent. Excellent. The musician, when he goes to sleep, it loses one's connection. In the deep sleep, you lose your connection with the physical body and the mind. But the causes, your skills don't go away. Something is holding. What is it? Your causal, which manifests again the next day. Otherwise, you will, if there was no causal body, you will not recognize anything anymore. There is something you lose connection to, but something remains which reconnects you. Exactly.
Why is the causal body is not same as the memory?
Okay, very good. What is memory? What is a memory? Tell me. The memory is something that you store within you, right? So suppose I learned something in this life, music, for example, right? Now I have the whole of music stored in my memory, right? Now, what I do with this music, this causal body is about that. Suppose you've seen this movie Amadeus, that is story of Mozart and his rival. Both of them are very good musicians. But what they did with the music and how they used their skill of music will have what? Different repercussions. It's not just their ability to play the music is a function of their memory. The causal body is not that. The causal body is what? How you have used this musical ability that you have been given in your lifetime. One has used that musical ability to just express the music. The other one has used that music to destroy another human being. And causal karma, causal is what? The storing of the consequences of the actions that you have done. Do you see the difference?
So that's where the karma.
That is what the karmas are.
Yeah.
So the entire causal body is what we call the storage of karma.
Everything is clear. The only thing, there is no proof, again, that after you death, there is...
True. True. But what I'm saying is it makes logical sense.
Makes logic, but there is no...
Yeah, that's fine. That's not a problem because ultimately, as you will see, the vision of Vedanta is not to tell you that you are this individual who's perennially traveling through different bodies and going through different karmas. It has a totally different vision about who you are. So that vision is something which is verifiable. This, you're right, it has a very strong supporting logic and it answers many questions. Otherwise, you will always have this question that I see such an intelligent design, but here when I see it's a mess. It answers that question. Because you haven't seen the past causes, so it looks like everybody is unequal. But if you knew the past causes, then what everybody is where they are meant to be in the journey of life. Yeah.
Would you then say the purpose of human life or human birth is for your growth and expansion in a way that you're living your life such that you're emitting at some point essentially the karma where there is nothing more that you need to resolve?
Okay, that's a very good question. That will be answered in the next question. Right? So what do I do with all these karmas and all these bodies and all? Where does it all end? Right? Or does it end? So that is the next question.
Can I say something too, Robert?
Yeah, sure.
Something from Neema's earlier class only, in support of the previous and after birth. That when there is no randomness in the universe, the physical laws of nature, there is no randomness, then how can our birth, our life and death be random? How can this one thing be random? Right, Neema?
Absolutely. That's
Law
absolutely.
of gravity. It's not as if it's in pockets of Brazil it's not there, but in India it's there. So all the laws that universally apply without any randomness, then how can our lives, birth, continuity cannot be random? That there's just this birth, we are living, doing something and disappearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but then in my next life, I could be a dog.
Yes,
Yeah,
a wonderful dog, you know. They're very much very rather than
Now, that is you can be.
What if you regress?
depending
She takes me for a walk. It's still be good business. It's still not
Then that's a good karma then.
Yeah.
Because dogs are so well
looked after.
If you are a
Saudi
dog,
Arabia,
it will be a little bad karma.
It's interesting.
So when you're after death, remains your causal body.
Excellent.
And then you get a new body with your physical body, and
Everything.
your subtle body, and your prana.
Excellent. So that means your causal body, Nandini, includes your whole set of karmas, all sanchita karmas.
Sanchita karma.
Right? Now, all of these karmas cannot fructify in this birth. So out of this huge subset, huge whole set of causal body, a particular subset comes into fructification in this given birth, which gives rise to this physical body, this subtle body, and along with these bodies, the experiences that we go through in life.
How do we disconnect with this? We don't remember anything if there is anything.
Yes.
So, one side we are saying that memories are stored up there in causal body.
Yeah.
Once we disconnect.
Yeah. So wonderful. So that means from one birth to the other, you don't remember what you did. That's your question, right? Yeah. And in fact, thank God you don't remember.
Yeah.
Suppose you remembered, you will know your wife of last 10 janmas.
Be a problem now.
And Vibha will not be too happy with it. So that means you are given, see, look at this, you are given the data that is required for you to live your life. And now. And within this life, you are given some clues and you have to use these clues to figure out the whole. Sorry?
This too shows Ishvara. There's obviously a play. That was why.
There is a play. Absolutely. There is an app of, see the whole premise. Look at, you don't take each part just separately and try to build something. The whole, what have we taught so far? Please take that into account and put this in picture. All that is here is one intelligence. The whole thing is a work of one intelligence, from which comes the universe. The 5 elements come from that. The 5 elements get organized by it. It creates what? The whole world with all its interconnections. It provides opportunity for us to act. It has the mechanisms to give us what? The feedback. And it has the capacity to carry forward the causes through what? The series of cause and effect relationships. Does it make sense or not? What is so difficult about it? Otherwise, if you look at the world with your vision, it's all fragmented. We are just here for no reason. Oh, the world is so unfair. I'm given this opportunity, others are not given. Oh, one day we'll all disappear. What is this vision of the universe? And I'm suffering. I'm trying to get happiness, but I'm suffering. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. Hey, okay, if you prefer to live with your vision, wonderful. Go ahead. Here is a presentation of looking at the world in a completely different manner. And you have actually no real logical reason to contradict what it says.
I have a question. For example, pardon me for asking so many questions, but
No problem. Please, questions are always welcome. Because the questions that you have, many others may have, but they may be shy. So there is no problem in asking questions. Please ask.
for example, let's say at one point of time, population, let's say is 100. So they would have had causal bodies and so they are carrying on forward.
Sure.
Now, population keeps increasing. So what happens to those, where are they getting?
The wildlife is disappearing.
Wonderful.
Or where,
Okay, wonderful. See, Senthil, the thing is, we only look at human population, right?
I'm saying, at some point of time, there was a finite amount of everything.
So,
So now the
there
finite
is-
amount is increasing.
So, no, finite amount is not increasing. We don't count, we count only human population. We don't count cockroach population. We don't count insect population. We don't count elephant population. So as Roberto was saying, in one birth you can be born as a human being. The next birth you can be born as an elephant. Or the elephant can be born as a human being. It's not that the human beings only keep coming back as human beings. You have this infinite species in the universe.
Wouldn't that be?
No, what he's saying is if there is increase in population.
That's what I'm saying. So that means
they don't have prarabdha karma then because they were never there before.
No, I'm saying even if they were, let's say they are taking the prarabdha karma of some tree, let's assume. So at one point of time there were only 100 trees, 100 whatever. So they were prarabdha karma for the next generation at 100. So now the next generation is 110. So where does the 10 for the 10?
No, my thing is different. The number of items on this earth have increased over a period of time.
100.
Supposedly.
so that means okay. in
So
this-
those additional numbers didn't have prarabdha karma. They just start afresh.
So, no. In fact, on this universe, Earth is not the only place where you have life. So that means you don't see that the people on this earth, they are going through their prarabdha where somewhere else. That's why we have what places called heaven. So that means there is not that everything in the earth will remain finite. So suppose X person becomes, let's say, another species, or the other person, other species will become a human being. That's how the population of any species will what? Increase and reduce. It's not a big thing.
Like bacteria in space.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many. This bacteria can become a human being. There is not, because they are all living beings. Infinite, infathomable. Exactly.
Also, Neema, there is no number that has to remain a constant in the universe, right?
Exactly.
That if there are so many humans, so many cockroaches, so many this thing.
Yeah.
It's
constantly.
Constant manifestation.
Yeah, but the karmas are there, so the karmas then give rise to different yonis. Karmas don't always give rise to a human being. That you have to keep in mind. Then this answer is solved. The karmas that you have in your account can give you a birth as in any other living being. And this is why they say being born as a human being is the greatest privilege. It's a huge privilege. Why is it a huge privilege? Because in this birth you can figure it all out. In other births that possibilities are not given. That's why they say use your human birth to, according to the Shastra, human birth is meant for moksha, for freedom. It's not.
Doesn't have a choice of action.
Sorry?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So end of your life and karma eventual is moksha.
Eventual is moksha, but what it is will come in the next question. We are just see one question after the other.
In physics, we learn that matter cannot be destroyed or created.
Excellent.
But matter can change into a
Transform, exactly. See, there are two very important supporting arguments, Roberto, for this. One is, see, if you try to prove it, nobody can. Because as I told you, belief means what? That it's something that you, with your physical eye, you cannot see that I have changed from this body to the other, right? But you have all, within the beliefs, you have two types of belief. One is what? Logically not plausible. The other one is what? Logically uncontradictable. So that means here it is uncontradictable because of two reasons. One is, as Kirti is saying, that the whole, even Einstein's thing is what? There is no real death in the universe. There is no death. E is equal to mc squared. What does it mean? That there is only transformation of what? Matter into energy and energy back into matter. There is no death, just transformation. The second, there are the laws of causes and effects which run the entire universe. There is no object in the universe which is free from the effects of cause and effect. And those laws of cause and effect don't work within the time period of 50, 80 years. They are what? They run over infinity. If you use both this logic, what only makes sense is what Vedas is saying. Everything else is just your friction of imagination with your highly inadequate data that you have to understand the universe. So therefore, and there is this presence of intelligence and how it percolates every little aspect in everything is up to now, it has been shown. And if you just bring in your own thing of people are just here and all, it doesn't go along with this whole thing of the play of intelligence. This is why Vedanta is like study of physics almost. You start with a hypothesis, axiom, and you prove it all the way. And you try to postulate something else, it will all fall apart. And you have actually no basis to postulate differently. This is a method of teaching. A competent teacher knows how to use Vedanta to make you see how non-contradictory it is. What is the time? I'm using the very sense of time. Okay. Time for break. So now, this is the answer of what the fourth question, and that the mechanism through which the carry-forwards happen are what? Through three bodies.
But what is the actual question that the student is asked?
The student asks the question that what are these three states of experience? Why do we, if we have come to live this world, while we are living, why do we go through these totally three different experiences while we live? And what accounts for those changes of experiences?
How the prana enter yourself produces these three states.
Huh?
How the prana enter yourself produces these three states.
Exactly. So through these three bodies. Exactly. How the prana, Roberto is very accurate, how the prana which has entered the body and made it alive produces these three states of experience. Through these three bodies.
It's a beautiful experience, sleep. No, really.
Exactly. And that...
Leveling of experience.
Absolutely.
Otherwise people will be stressed. They will finish.
Absolutely. So that means in the deep sleep, what we are seeing is glimpse of this causal body. And that's exactly what Viresh, the argument that Viresh is using is, if there was nothing beyond physical and subtle body, when we lose connection with that physical and subtle body in deep sleep, we will not be able to reconnect if there was no causes. Perfect logic.
There are millions of people living in dreams. They have nothing. It's a dream.
So that means this causal body is something that is a very strong logic. Once you lose the connection, how do you regain the same connection? There are some causes, latent causes. Then you can extrapolate and you can say, even after you lose connection with one physical and subtle body in this life, the latent causes remain, which connect you to what? Another body.
Can you say that again? The same word, another body. I missed that one.
Okay. See, in your life, in your one day, why, see, the Nandini's question is good. Why you are asked about these three states of experience? Through these three states of experience, through this question, what you are made to see? The presence of three bodies. So that means that in one day you go through three totally different situations. What accounts for those three different situations? Your connection with what? Different bodies. In the waking, you have connection with all three bodies. The physical, the subtle, and the causal. In the dream state, you have connection only with what? The subtle and the causal body. And in the deep sleep state, you have connection only with causal body. So now, if you say that, how do you say, you can ask a question, how do I know that in deep sleep there is a causal body? Because I'm not aware of anything, right? When you are sleeping, you're not aware of anything. So you can say, exactly, you have lost your connection with one physical and subtle body. If you have lost your connection, what is it which is reconnecting you with this body the next day? There are some causes. That is it gives you an insight into what? The presence of causal body. Then you extrapolate. And what do you say? Suppose after this life, when I lose really the connection with this physical and subtle body, still there are causes which remain, which will not reconnect me to the same body but to the other set of bodies. We carry forward. Extrapolation.
Which is why Mozart is born with the early talent, while somebody else may be a great painter.
Excellent.
Because you carry forward that.
You carry forward. Excellent. The memory is part of your mind, no? So mind is part of the subtle body, no? Subtle body. We saw the mind has 4 functions and they are all part of subtle body.
And also I think this will also explain why you are born amongst the people that you are born, because there are past connections that you have to...
Absolutely. 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 Because while you are living your life and you have you have adrishta phalam. Suppose I have done something to you, suppose, right? And then there is some account which is unfinished. So that means that unfinished account has to what? Start somewhere else. And this is why you only go through experiences through people. The experiences of pleasure and pain. So wherever we left off, we start.
I have something. You talked earlier about 2 people born at the same time, twins.
Yes.
I have identical twins.
Really?
Absolutely identical. But because they were the only 2 children that I had, I ensured that they kept separate so that they could build their own identity. And it's very interesting to watch that their experiences have been very different, which have evolved them into the people that they are. They're still very connected with each other, but they're 2 different people altogether. Thoughts, actions, everything different. So then now when you go back to what you're saying, I say, how did these 2 people evolve in this next life come at the same time into the same world, into the same family?
Because of the past that they had something connected with you of the past life that they brought together. But they obviously have their own karmas that are taking them onto different paths.
So that means they have to simultaneously experience 2 things. One is that they have to see that there is a different path of life, and at the same time they have to experience some intimate connection. They have to go through both experiences together, which other people don't. If they are not twins, they don't experience that. Okay. So now, this is the 4th question. The 5th question we will see in the evening. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.